it great that we could be here today and play bass for everybody?
Absolutely.
It's so absolutely, positively wonderful that we could play.
However, you won't be articulating in any theory lingo.
It'll be hard for me and you to talk about theory since neither of us know a damn thing about it.
Right, which is why it's good that I should be interviewing you on this occasion.
Yeah, but see, we know about a lot more other cosmic things that are floating around in the universe and in this very room today, things that are circling around that hopefully we'll be able to be vehicles for these things and let them come pouring through our nostrils today.
I think what you and Chad did earlier was very guttural. It was good.
Well, you know, with Chad and I were just jamming earlier. This is a spontaneous jam thing, and this is the type of thing, and that's what my playing is all about as a bass player, is just about jamming. So whatever the vibe is in the room, or whatever, if I'm like upset because somebody hurt my feelings, or if, you know, I'm thinking about the Makeup Girls or something like that, then it might completely change what I play that day or that minute. So, you know, everybody knows that that jam that we just did is very spontaneous. And jams, sometimes when you jam spontaneously, sometimes it's going to be an amazing, genius, cosmic, beautiful, liquid, you know, a comet with funk warts on it falling from the heavens. And sometimes you could just have a head like a stale marshmallow that somebody left out, you know, that was, you know, that didn't even never made it to a stick to be roasted in a barbecue.
Was your father a musician?
Well, not my real father, but my stepfather.
Right.
Who raised me was the first person to really expose me to the true magic of music.
And what was some of that stuff that you got into earlier?
The first thing that I got into, well, he was a jazz musician and he plays the upright bass. And he just played hard bebop jazz, you know, the jazz that was real popular with guys like Lee Morgan and Hank Mobley and John Coltrane and Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie and Miles Davis and people like that. And, you know, he played that upright bass like boom, 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 which is a style which I, you know, that I admire intensely and that I can't play, but which is something that I'm attempting to learn to play. I actually just bought it.
Yeah, last time I was over your place, you had an upright bass.
Yeah, I got an upright bass. I'm about to begin studying, and then perhaps I'll be able to elaborate further on that style of bass. But anyway, that was what I saw him play as a child. And him and all his friends would come over, and they would jam at my house, and my mom would cook food, and they would just play the day away. They'd play all kinds of jazz standards and just jam out. And as a child, my reaction to that was to, you know, roll on the floor in hysterical laughter because it was such a beautiful thing. And I think that was the first time I was really touched spiritually by music, which I'm sure had a great influence on me ending up being what I'm playing, you know, that I'm a musician and everything today.
What are some of those records that you're referring to?
The first record that I ever got, which was Louis Armstrong and the Hot Five. And aside from the fact that there was a song on that record called All That Meat and No Potatoes, which I used to just walk around singing all the time when I was a kid, and it went, all that meat and no potatoes just ain't right like green tomatoes. It had Louis Armstrong, who was probably the greatest musician that ever lived. And I remember I have this distinct memory of when I was, when I first started playing the trumpet, before I started playing the bass. And of course I wanted to be as cool as Louis Armstrong, and still my whole life is based on one day perhaps, approaching the level of cool of Louis Armstrong and, aging with grace and dignity like he did. But this old guy said to me, this real old guy, and I was playing the trumpet and I thought I was pretty hot, and he goes, let me tell you one thing. He goes, lots of cats, they play high, they play fast, they play with all kinds of technique. You see these guys, they can play every trick in the book and every lick in the book, but no one ever played music like Louis Armstrong. And he was completely right. And that was, a big important thing for me. And that was the first record I ever had. And then from then on, I just started getting all kinds of records. And
in that, he's just so absolute.
In that every note is just pure, beautiful music. The thing, a great musician plays one note, and it's a beautiful thing. And one note implies that if he wanted to, he could play 10 billion notes. But, just one simple note is a beautiful thing.
Right.
One time a friend of mine went to go see Thelonious Monk play, the great pianist Thelonious Monk, and he was playing Carnegie Hall, which is really a prestigious gig for a jazz musician. And he came out, and everybody was there, and they were all excited. And Thelonious Monk came out, and there was a big grand piano with a pot of flowers on it, and everyone was there in their hoity-toity suits and ties and stuff, ready to see the amazing Monk do his thing. And he walked out, and he just slammed the potted plants into the piano, let the lid slam shut, and just went bang, and played one note and split. And that probably would have been the greatest concert ever. I wish I could have seen it.
Just that one note.
Yeah, just that. When I was a kid and I had my first bass, I wanted to be like Jaco Pastorius, so I ruined my first bass because I ripped out all the frets somehow and tried to sand it, and I just wrecked like a complete bass, and I didn't have a bass. But I gave up trying to be like Jaco Pastorius. Like as far as my influences as a musician, they are, I've never tried to be like anybody, but I just I don't want to imitate anybody or be like anybody, but I want to be open to everything.
Right.
And so, as much as I can dig, like somebody who would do something like this in a song, which is the simplest, most amazing thing, punk rock. I can dig something really complex, like... And there's all kinds of, I'm kind of being awkward, but what I'm trying to say is that I just love everything that has any soul in it, whether it's the simplest punk rock thing or the most complex jazz thing or the deepest, dirtiest, greasiest funk thing.
What kind of equipment do you condone and use in your life?
I love this Music Man bass because it's a nice, simple bass, and it feels really good. And for, doing the thump thing, the funk thing, this action. It's really good for that. The Music Man bass is really good for playing that stuff. And this is just a great bass, so I'm very lucky to have it. And plus, not only do I have it, but I got it for free because I'm a big pompous rock star. And the richer you get, then they start giving you stuff for free, like you really need it, right? Isn't that weird? But, you know, I don't think equipment really matters at all. I think equipment is really meaningless. I mean, it's nice to have stuff that you like, but the thing is, if you can't feel something with your fingers or with your heart, and if you don't have anything to say with your instrument, then it doesn't matter what you have, you know? So, you know, kids that want to play music, if they can't afford to go and buy, like, the big, fancy, expensive thing, it really means nothing. Because if their heart's in it and they dedicate themselves to the instrument, they'll be better every time than the lame-o with the fancy
pompous
equipment.
rock star who gets the equipment for free.
Yeah, they could always be better than me. Look what I've grown into.
Has anyone ever told you that you sucked?
Yes, people have told me that I suck before.
How did you
but
feel?
I think people should tell me that I suck more often.
Well, I'll tell you that. I just told you that now in a roundabout way.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, like, everything in life relates to music, so if someone told me I sucked, like, in some other way, it would be just like I sucked in music, like, you know, so, you know.
Right.
Like, the first time I did I did karate when I was a kid, and I went to do a flying side kick to break this board, and I fell flat on my face. I did it about 3 times in a row in front of all these Boy Scouts at a Boy Scout jamboree. I was really upset.